As Meryl mentioned earlier, I always start with somebody else's poem. And often it's Tao Chen or Lou Welch or Gary Snyder. But today I want to read a poem by somebody who was planning to be here and couldn't make it. And Josephine Clare. Yeah, and I corresponded with her and I said, send me a poem. I told her, how I always start with somebody else's poem. I said, Josephine, I'd love to read one of your poems first. So she sent me this poem this morning. Magnolia. I stopped my Honda at the red light. I lead a busy, quite important life. Gave the bare tree at my right a cursory glance. Hey, how about the buds and blooms? It's spring, after all. Can you believe the tree talked? No time to bud, busy. I was appalled. Josephine Clare. I will do that. I will certainly do that. So, okay. Here's a fresh poem. I don't do this usually, but I just wrote this today. Okay. Craig and Charlie. These are part of the people in the poem. Craig and Charlie back there. And it's called, what's he going to say, right? Yeah.
Stand up while he reads it.
Oh, yeah, stand up and take your clothes off. At the pond on Wheeler Hill before heading to Cloudburst 3. 3 naked old guys. dry off in warm breeze, bright sun, after refreshing swim in cool pond. Meanwhile, toads constantly trill, kickstroke toward shallows where young life revels in ancient ritual. Yeah. Thank you. As it happened. The whole idea of pilgrimage. I go on poetic pilgrimages across America. Last year I did a 14-week journey from August through November, poems across America, and read up one reading in each of the 48 states. And that's the longest journey I've been on, but I do 2-3 week trips across America. And the idea of pilgrimage, there's that pilgrimage, there's the pilgrimage to special places, holy places, and there's that interior pilgrimage that we all go on. And I want to read a few poems relating to all of those. And this is untitled. This morning, snow fills chilled air. A few days ago, swimming in pond. Spring beauties brighten drab forest floor. Down tree succumbed to winter winds. A snake dangles from hawk's talons, so fleeting this transitory life. Last week, I knew where I wanted to be. Last night, I wondered where I belonged. And late night reverie. And I live about 25 miles from here, just high up on a ridge, just south of here. And a lot of my poems come from that space too. And this is late night reverie. Family asleep. Generator gently hums. I sip small cup of sake. Recall years gone by. Memories resurfacing. 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years ago. People, places, relationships, friends, lovers, acquaintances. Many missing from my current life. Others gone forever from this world. Would that they all could be here now, sharing this moment in time, this evening where I peruse decades of my existence in my mind, my time here on this journey, this passage between somewhere before, somewhere further on, as life narrows, years ahead, less than years behind, and friends, past and present, a deep part of my being in the moment now. Recycling. And this, Helen, this was written in your territory as I was driving west on I-86. And Helen's west of here in, you go through the Susquehanna watershed a little bit and then you get to the Allegheny watershed, and that's Helen's territory. Recycling. A kettle of vultures soars overhead as I drive west on I-86. Gray clouds cover sky. Occasional splatters of rain splash on windshield. Car set on automatic cruise. Dark hills come and go, come and go. Mid-spring, cold and snow of winter long gone. Trees still bare, green leaves yet to come. Thoughts wander in their own fashion, far beyond this gray ribbon of road. No containing mind's wanderlust. Future, past, here, there, no barrier. Family members, close friends long gone, now beside me in this old beat car. Places I've been, places looked forward to, superimposed on this hilly terrain. Sudden downpour brings me around. Wipers turned on, cruise turned off. Mind re-enters present time, this moment, when vultures once more soar overhead. Untitled. Leaving home, I travel far, make new friends, hike distant trails. Daytime, moving east or west, evenings, sleeping in strange beds. Poems spoken, life stories shared, conversations over wine and food. Back home, frogs sing from old pond, hayfield vibrates in westerly breeze. And I go on the road, and I love being on the road, and I want to keep doing that as long as I can, you know. And yet I love the hill, and I love being home, and it's just the best of two worlds. But when I'm gone, what's happening at home, you know, and what am I missing? Last year I was gone 14 weeks, August till November. It's like I missed all of autumn back home. I had great experiences on the road. And this is called Where Home. This was actually published in Prometheus Chair that Alan published. Where's Alan? Alan, yeah. Which, and there's some Prometheus chairs here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well you thought that was one of the, the collections that was a culmination almost of what you've been doing, right?
Yeah, I've been trying, grand synthesis of all the different poets, different elements of poetry. And Cloudburst in part was thought about as, well, let's bring everybody together and synthesize. But Prometheus Chair, which is the anthology, it was just a thing where I asked people if they had any poems for a newsletter, and I got so much in that it turned into an anthology.
Yeah, and I was pleased to be part of that. Thank you. Where Home. And this was a poem that came after the 14-week journey across America. And a friend of mine, my bosom buddy, Rhonda Morton, she sent me this quote by Dogen, the Zen master, a couple of weeks into my journey. And this is his quote. "But do not ask me where I am going as I travel in this limitless world where every step I take is my home. Nearly 100 days away, just settled back on Wheeler Hill, snow has already covered ground, already planning next year's journeys. If home is where the heart is, then it is here, and there, and where ocean waves crash on granite shore, where sunset shadows creep toward night, distant years vanish between old friends, bread is broken over kitchen tables, where sake sipped with newfound friends. Huge goodbye bear hugs are given, where small children smile and laugh, where heart-to-heart talks take place, where gentle kiss shared at time of leaving, where poems are spoken in quiet house. Small snowflakes drift through air, goldfinches crowd at sunflower feeder, still on the road, still forever heading home." And this is a poem from one of the poems from the journey. And in my life, there's a triangle foundation. I realized this a few decades ago. There's a triangle that holds me up. And the three sides of it's a fluid triangle, you know, isosceles, you know, irregular, and when it's equilateral, watch out world, you know. But the three sides, the one side is creativity, which for me is the words, the writing. I can't sing, I never played an instrument, I can't draw, so I'm stuck with words, you know. One side is the creativity, a second side is nature, the natural world, and the third side is relationships and people. And I aim for equilateral, but it's seldom the case. And on the journey that I took, those 14 weeks, I really tried to aim for equilateral. And what turned out, you know, and I was in national parks and I camped and, you know, I barter for rooms when I go on the road. I say, hey, if you got a spare couch, I'll give you a couple books of poetry, you know, and have wonderful connections with people that way. And it turned out that the journey, when I returned and thought about it, it was really a people journey, much more than the natural world, and even almost much more than the poetry. And here's a poem from one of those people, Lois, it's called. And Lois was a friend, a casual friend I knew back at Acadia National Park in the early 80s when I lived there. And she was the assistant park naturalist. And we were just casual friends. And we connected again about 5 years ago online, and she said, oh, you got to come stay, you know, come visit sometime in that. So after my first reading at Acadia National Park on the tour, that's my spiritual home, the next day I went down to Portland, and I hadn't seen Lois for almost 30 years. And you know what it's like when even somebody you weren't really close to, but you knew as a friend, gee, you're going to see them again after almost 30 years. What will that be like? So here's the poem. Lois. Nearly 3 decades, same sparkling eyes, same dimpled smile, same welcoming personality. Such ease of being with, walking, talking, exploring, rediscovering. Too soon, morning road calls, poems to be read miles away, leaving at 9, 9:30. 10, 11, finally in the car, gone. Gathering for Elaine. Plums dangle high in tree. I climb branches, first time in years. Shake limbs with hands, feet. A plum storm develops, purple drops hitting ground, bopping on boys, mom. I climb down. We all gather plums into baskets as sun shines, as Montana mountains loom in distance, as laughter floats through air. A simple act, gathering fruit, later bounty yet to come. And then back home, footprints in sand. Son plays freshly tuned piano. I sip last cup of sake. Sky darkens, heat dissipates. One more day fades away. As cycle turns, days to months, months to years, years to decades, continually rolling away. Once a youngster, now an elder. My younger son growing older, maturing, correcting me in habit, while father-in-law lingers on edge of departure. Nothing but passages, a journey between here, there. Shallow footsteps in sand left along the way. Are we getting close to time? Who cares? Okay.
47 states to go.
So this is the party for tonight, right? I'm going to keep reading and reading. Okay. Acadia, May. I wanted to read a May poem. Acadia is my spiritual home, Acadia National Park. And how many of you have been there? Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing place, and I always warn people, nobody goes just once. Acadia, May, and this was a hike I took with my younger son, Chapin. Years since hiking this highest summit on Mount Desert, my years piling on and on, younger son just getting to vital and vibrant age. We start up mid-morn, late May, an early spring day on cold North Atlantic coast. This his highest mountain hike. For me, reliving old adventure, same trail hiked 37 years ago. As we follow signs on trees, small rock cairns in open spaces, guiding our way, miles of continual upward steps. I needing to rest every now and then, he graciously waiting, biding time, till finally we reach end of trail, summit of Cadillac, where cars line parking lot, tourists gaze distant sights, Frenchman's Bay gleams far below. We're going there in less than 2 weeks for another 10 days of camping. You know, and I showed up there in 1971, the hitchhiking days. That was my first year of hitchhiking, and Acadia became, and one of the first time there is like, wow. And you talk about pilgrimages and sacred places. I knew that was a sacred place that first time I saw it. And I've lived there. 2 of my kids were born there. I've been there, lived there maybe 7 years overall. And I've always said, if I don't get there over the course of a year, something's wrong in my life. And now, you know, I'm 63 years old, I'm getting on. I'm thinking, you know, once a year isn't enough anymore. And I need to get there maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Otherwise, something's wrong in my life, you know. A couple more poems. Speaking with a friend first met during the build-up to the first Iraq War. We can count off our life in wars, 5 in my not yet over life. Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Iran, We can count off our life in wars, 5 in my not yet over life. Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. 3 wars ago, protests led to failure, as always, to prevent its happening, yet always led to closeness of individuals drawn together in opposition, in ideas, in action, in shared sadness. That war ended. Friendships, closenesses carried on. Yesterday, long poetry road miles, 7 hours behind wheel, nearing home, tired on High Ridge Road, phone call from close because of 3rd war ago, friend. I pull over, step out of car, take in expansive view, hills beyond sight, as voice births smile. Words flow like cumulus clouds above, like 20 plus years ago. This time, no war talk, but half-hour, heart-to-heart conversation, personal ethics, political frustration, how to do what is right. All the while, road weariness long vanished, bobolinks chit and chatter in nearby hayfield. And then I think one last poem. Thank you. One last poem. I live in the treehouse when I'm here. How many of you have been to the treehouse? How many haven't been to the treehouse? Okay, let's go have a party up there tonight, right? It's pretty steep uphill for a little bit, but you know, I live there whenever I come here. This is my 3rd year living at the treehouse, and I love it. It's a great place. And so this was a poem I wrote last year. I don't think I shared it because I think I wrote it at the end of Cloudburst last year. So let me finish with this. From the Treehouse, Gel Center, Cloudburst, 2013. Remnant rain, and this is going to happen tonight, I think, too. So maybe I could write this poem again tomorrow morning. Remnant rain drips from trees, gently reverberates on metal roof. Small cabin up darkened path, live tree growing through floor and roof. Small flashlight to erase the dark, small sips of sake while I write. Buildings below, brightly lit, groups of people conversing. Up here, alone in rustic place, nothing much more that I need. It's not that I dislike others. It's more that I prefer aloneness. The gentle drips converse with me, share their knowledge of darkened woods. Thank you.